I've spent the better part of a decade playing all my single player games with a walkthrough open on a second screen constantly, but something snapped this fall, and I've started gaming completely differently, giving it my undivided attention to the best of my abilities, and finding joy in figuring things out for myself, only turning to the internet if I really have to. But before I get into how I'm getting away from multitasking while playing my video games, be sure to give this video a like. Comment how often you use walkthroughs for video games. Subscribe for cultural commentary and rants from a man caught between generations. And last but certainly not least, feel free to join me at the Zillennial Nexus Point Discord. Link will be in the description below. This all began about a decade ago now, when I got my very first MacBook for Christmas 2015 and immediately made walkthroughs part of my gaming routine. So, back in January of 2016, I remember playing through the original Skyward Sword with the MacBook propped up on the table next to me, so I would have the walkthrough to refer to at any point. Essentially, I would just lean on the walkthrough rather than actually try things out for myself in the game. Okay, I'd already beaten Skyward Sword previously. At this point, it was just a replay. This was especially the case with Pokemon games, when I would look at the Pokemon teams for the gym leaders, Elite Four, and champions, and I would maximize my control by choosing a team ahead of time in the case of the Red, Blue, and Yellow re-releases on the 3DS Virtual Console. I would work with what I had. But recently, with the Switch games, I literally can just download Pokemon from Pokemon Home and arrange teams ahead of time. And on top of that, I admit, I ran videos and such in the background, whether it was YouTube videos or back in 2016, I would occasionally turn on our cable box and I would play the channels of Destination America in the background. When they had things like ghost hunting or searches for Bigfoot. And then I'd also have the likes of Ancient Aliens and such on because, well, I'll admit, it does get kind of repetitive with training against wild Pokemon, but the main point is, over the last almost decade now, I would want constant stimulation while doing the hard part of the game. I would never just play the game, actually enjoy it. It was just something to keep my hands busy while I was listening to another YouTube video. The turning point came about 2 months ago now, where after I finished Ocarina of Time on Switch Online, and I started Pokemon Violet, and realized I was using the walkthrough less and less. I realized I was getting annoyed by the guide, annoyed at myself, and annoyed at the constant urge to fill the silence or something to go along with the repetitive music, I will admit. By the end of October, I realized I hated having a second screen open while I played my video games. Whether it was the walkthrough, YouTube, etc. I realized I'd had it, and I decided to do a little experiment. So, right around that time, Luigi's Mansion became available on Switch Online. So, on November 3rd, I closed my MacBook and literally put it on the shelf. Okay, it was within arm's reach, but it was closed and out of the way, and I kept it there while I played Luigi's Mansion, exploring the mansion on my own, only opening it when it was absolutely necessary. And I can tell you specifically, it was to figure out how to get out of this one room that didn't have a door way out. And I found out you have to scan the mirror to get back to the entrance. You can do that with any mirror. There's a little tip for you. if you decide to play the original Luigi's Mansion. And I finished the whole game in one day with almost no help from the internet. The experience felt better, more immersive, and more focused, just like how a friend of mine said that he barely remembers Ocarina of Time 3D because he leaned on a walkthrough throughout the whole thing, whereas I remember Ocarina of Time pretty well. I'm pretty sure I could beat it from memory. Don't know if I'd 100% the gold skulltulas and such, but hey, it's worth trying out. And that's when something clicked. This is how games are supposed to feel. I'm supposed to feel the joy of figuring something out for myself. I'm supposed to actually play the game and not robotically go through the checklist of things to do according to the walkthrough while listening to the latest commentary video in the background. Anyway, after Pokemon Violet and Luigi's Mansion, I went straight into Pokemon Shining Pearl, which I speed ran over the next 10 days. My goal was just to make the credits roll and then get whatever exclusives I could get. And I went through the trouble of getting the necessary slates so that I could catch Lugia in Ramana's Park and download a Lugia I have from Pokemon Go and into Pokemon from Pokemon Home into that game because Pokemon Home won't let you send legendaries from Go to any of the Switch games unless you've already caught them in the game itself. Don't ask me why, they just do. I just remembered I've got to get Legend ZA at some point so that I can transfer a Diancie in there after catching it through the mystery gift that they have. During my Pokemon Shining Pearl playthrough this month, I'll admit I fell into my bad second screen habits only when I was doing long Pokemon transfers in Pokemon Home, so technically I wasn't playing Shining Pearl at that point. And you know what? That's actually not as bad a place to play some YouTube videos in the background compared to the actual game itself, at least with the major events, because in the game itself, I admit, I also ran YouTube on my MacBook in the background during mindless wild encounters to grind and level up my team, because you have to take the maximum controllable level based on the number of gym badges into account if you're downloading teams from Pokemon Home to Speedrunner. Actually, I just added one or two Pokemon that were close to the level cap so that I would have something to quickly wrap up the gym battle if something went horribly wrong. And then after the gym badges, obviously I have control of any Pokemon I want. So that's when I brought in the level hundreds to speed run the league. However, I will acknowledge I did not obsess over the team breakdowns from walkthroughs this time around. I could mostly guess what I needed, not to mention muscle memory from the original Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, Platinum version, and previous playthroughs of Brilliant Diamond this year and Shining Pearl in 2022. So then, after getting what I could from Pokemon Shining Pearl, harvesting it for what I could, I moved on to Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 edition because I decided I wanted to play something that I could only play thanks to my Switch Online membership. In this case, the Switch 2 upgrade patch. So yeah, I started that last week, and honestly, it feels more satisfying to complete the shrines on my own and without background noise. I'm actually thinking through the puzzles rather than just doing what the walkthrough says robotically while listening to more YouTube videos. It tapped into my airbender personality where I look at at it from new angles and try different things to see what happens and actually accomplish what I need to in the game. I will admit, I do feel a sense of pride solving the shrine puzzles on my own without the internet lifeline. You know, it had me thinking about this Museum of Science post for National STEM/STEAM Day. A lot of you know what STEM stands for. For those of you who don't know, STEAM is an acronym for STEM plus arts. That's what the A stands for. And someone asked why art is in STEM, and the museum YouTube page, whoever runs the YouTube page there had a great response. Quote, creativity is indispensable as a problem-solving skill, which I wholeheartedly agree with, because that's exactly what Tears of the Kingdom is forcing me to remember when I'm playing without an internet lifeline, when I'm playing on my own. Okay, I do have the internet lifeline ready to go if I desperately need it, but until I reach that point, I'm actually having a lot of fun figuring it out on my own. This also comes back to the NASA approach. Basically, within Tears of the Kingdom again, I'm trying new things, testing them, and then finding solutions. Okay, maybe this rune doesn't work out. Let's try a different rune. No, wait, in Tears of the Kingdom, it's the whatever the abilities are. I'll just leave it at that. Anyway, the point of all this is I gave movies and TV undivided attention this whole time. Like, I literally keep my phone and sometimes my watch out of arm's reach while it's on in Do Not Disturb while I watch episodes of my TV show or watch a movie at home. I prefer to give it my undivided attention. I'm improving with audiobooks right now with that, and in the case of video games, I am avoiding it like the plague because second screen culture is a cultural blight as far as I'm concerned. Yes, I am guilty of it thanks to YouTube Premium background play on my phone, but I'm rethinking it and I'm trying not to do that. So again, movies and TV, I always put my phone and my watch out of arm's reach in Do Not Disturb. The only thing that I have access to in any capacity during movies and TV, during gaming sessions, is my MacBook. When it comes to audiobooks, okay, I have my phone in reach, or I have my watch on. But hey, there's not much you can really do with an Apple Watch for doom scrolling. But hey, if I really do feel the need to check anything on my phone while I'm listening to my audiobook, first thing I do is pause. But that's beside the point. I also want to acknowledge, if you're listening to this video while doing something else, I'm not judging, because I don't heavily edit these videos anyway. So that's going to do it for the video. You let me know in the comments down below what you think about this, whether you agree with me that video games are more fun when you minimize your help from the internet lifeline, where you think it's okay to listen to YouTube videos in the background while doing something repetitive in a game, like in the case of any Pokemon game, Wild Battles, or anything similar in other video games. I'd love to know what you have to say. Make sure to also give this video a like, subscribe for cultural commentary and rants from a man caught between generations. And last but certainly not least, feel free to join me at the Zillennial Nexus Point Discord. Link will be in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.